Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. Now my name is Mike Tudor, and this is a video that is part of the CantoPanda series, where it is a supplementary learning video that supplements what we are going to learn in the CantoPanda web app. Now, in this video, we are going to cover the vocabularies that are related to the theme of asking simple questions. And in this case, we'll go through the jutping, the pronunciation, as well as give you some tips that you won't find in anywhere else. And of course, after you learn the phrases and the vocabulary in this video, you should then go to our completely free CantoPanda web app to practice and memorize these materials. So now let's grab a notebook and let's get started. So now let's start off with a recap. The first word is 你好嗎? 你好嗎? Which is the standard how are you? And of course, you have already know that in the previous video. Now, next, let's look at something more newer, which is 你叫乜嘢名? 你叫乜嘢名? Which is you called what name? Or what is your name? And the third one is more or less formal, which is 你係邊個? 你係邊個? Which in this case is 你, of course, means you. 邊個 is actually meaning who. And 係 is just a particle for is, am, or are. So in this case, 你係邊個 literally means you are who. Now, this phrase can sound a bit direct, so only use it when you really don't know who someone is, like on the phone. And if you are mostly not in a very formal or business setting, as sometimes it may sound a bit too direct or too rude, but you might hear it sometimes. Now, let's talk about asking about things and places. First, let's look at what day is it today. So what day is it today in Cantonese is 今日係幾多號? 今日係幾多號? So now let's break down these by parts. 今日 in Cantonese is today, and 係, as you've learned earlier, is the particle for is, and 幾多號 means what number, or in this case, what date, or what day. So in this case, it literally means today is what number, or 今日係幾多號? Now, the next phrase is what is this? What is this in Cantonese is 呢個係乜嘢? 呢個係乜嘢? Now let's break this down into parts as well. So 呢個 means this one, and 乜嘢 is the super useful word for what. So literally 呢個係乜嘢 in English means this one is what thing. 呢個係乜嘢? Now, and the third phrase I want to say is a very good conversation starter after you have established the exchange of names with a different person in which you see them for the very first time, and that is where are you from? So where are you from in Cantonese is 你嚟自邊度? 你嚟自邊度? Where 嚟自 means come from, and 邊度 means which place. So let's look at two important phrases that you probably need when you're traveling. So the first one is probably something I already taught to you in a previous video, which is, do you speak English? In Cantonese, we say, 你識唔識講英文? 你識唔識講英文? And this is, do you speak English in Cantonese? Now, the next phrase is very, very important as well, which is, how much money? And this phrase is important, of course, because when you're traveling to Hong Kong or other places where Cantonese is the primary language, like some parts in Guangzhou, you will often need to pay money for food, for stuff in general. So in this case, you wouldn't want to ask how much money. So how much money in Cantonese is 幾多錢?幾多錢? So 錢 in this case is money, and 幾多 is how much or how many. So this is very simple and direct. So if we want to say how much for this one, we would say 呢個幾多錢啊?呢個幾多錢啊? Where 呢個 means this one or this particular one. Next, let's go through three phrases that talks about asking for help and clarification. So the first one is called 點樣做?點樣做? Which is your go-to phrase for how do I do this. Now, of course, there's also a more informal or more shorter form of this, which is 點搞?點搞? Which is the same way, but it's less formal. So I would stick with 點樣做 for now. Now, the second phrase is 你可唔可以幫我?你可唔可以幫我 in Cantonese is, can you help me? Now, to break this down, 可唔可以 is the polite way to say, is it possible, or can you? And 幫 means to help. And of course, 我 is me. So in this case, it literally means, so, is it possible for you to help me? Or 你可唔可以幫我? Lastly, if someone is speaking too fast, you can always say this to them, which is 你可唔可以講慢啲? Now, 講 is speak, and 慢 is slow, and 啲 is a particle that turns it into a word like a bit slower. And this phrase will, of course, save your life if you know Cantonese, but you're not native enough to understand the fast pacing of some of how some Cantonese speaker would say. So in this case, you can tell them, 你可唔可以講慢啲? So remember, in a previous slide or two, I have mentioned a phrase called, do you speak English? Or 你識唔識講英文? 你識唔識? Well, it just means, do you know? Or do you get it? Or do you understand? So in this case, if you want to say something like, do you know how to drive a car, for example, then you would say, 你識唔識揸車? Or if you are not speaking English, but you're natively speaking another language, like French, for example, then you would say, 你識唔識法文? And that wraps up this video. You have just learned a set of phrases or useful Cantonese phrases that covers the aspects of asking simple questions. Now, of course, the best way to practice these is to use them, and that is where the CantoPanda web app comes in. In this web app, you can find flashcards and quizzes for all these words on the app to really lock them into your memory. and the link to this completely free web app can be found in the YouTube description below. Now, if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more Cantonese lessons. Thanks for watching. 再見